welcome to Bloomberg Queen. This is the Market Wrap. I am Agam Akil. Well, it's turned out to be another good day of trade for the benchmark indices, which eventually closed the day with gains of as much as 0.5%. Starting off the Nifty, as you can see here, we really haven't seen it come off, and it was largely range bound. Well, eventually ending up with as much as 48 points. And this, as far as the Nifty is concerned, once again, with respect to its constituents, if you can take a look at what they have done, where the gains are coming from, you'll see that most of the gains are coming from Axis Bank. That's followed by BPCL, HPCL, and of course IOC is also in the top gainers, and we'll have Sumit to talk about these gainers in just a little bit. On the losing end, we are looking at a little bit of weakness in Z Entertainment and Lupin. Let's also take a look at the broader markets, and in the broader markets, with respect to the advanced decline ratio on the Nifty 500, it's evenly spread between gainers and losers, as you can see here. And in the broader markets, it is the mid-cap IT companies such as Take Solutions, Ramco Cements, 8K Mile Software, all gaining quite substantially. Of course, Bajaj Corp will be out of its earnings soon this week, so and on the back of that, we're looking at another 5.5% gain there. And of course, Gojat Agrovet also up 6.5%. On the losing end, the usual suspect Vakrangi, Dishman Carbogen, and of course, some weakness seeping in as far as ICICI Lombard's concerned. That said, we have Neeraj Shah joining us to give us his perspective on the markets. Neeraj, what are you making of the market?
Hey, interesting trade, isn't it, Agam, today? Though we did come off a little bit in the dying moments of trade. So the last 15-20 minutes, about a 0.25% point shaved off from the highs for the Nifty Bank as well as the benchmark indices, which is the Nifty and the Sensex. The market breadth stayed true though, so that's not a concern. I think the only question on the minds of people would be that hitherto we've been used to seeing this market as being a sell-on rally and obeying the sell-on rally template in a meaningful way all through the last 5 weeks at least. Are we out of that mode? That's the key question that people will be grappling with. And of course, we're all looking forward to the earnings and Donald Trump tweets to figure out what could happen to the markets.
Right.
So technical factors, maybe Trump tweets take center stage. But this week would be interesting. Infosys, in all meaningful way, kickstarts the earnings from Friday. And if we indeed get that 13-14% kind of earnings growth in this quarter, which leads to about 11% for FY18, I don't think we're in a bad soup. Just one last point. I mean, if you just look at the WIF function, and if I can just pull it up for our viewers here, the world futures are a tick of green. This is the Dow Jones, the US futures and the European futures, DAX in particular, trading reasonably okay. So we have some bit of positivity at the global markets. So maybe, just maybe, the cues won't be too bad for tomorrow morning.
Absolutely, Neeraj. Thanks for that. Of course, we are watching out for global cues, and do not forget, we will be looking at a whole host of earnings which will start coming in. That will, of course, move the needle, perhaps for the Indian equities. But that's as far as the fundamentals are concerned. Let's also take a look at what we have in terms of technicals. And we have Hemant Kapadia joining us, who looks at technicals very closely. Hemant, good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. Let's start off with the Nifty. What's your view here?
A very good afternoon to you, Agam. I think from a slightly expiry point of view, I think we have space. Levels are 10,380, 10,490, 10,550, extendable up to 10,625. So I have a feeling we are going to 10,550 or 10,625 either in April end or by the first week of May. Extreme short-term markets are walking into a bout of resistance at 10,380 and 11,000, Agam.
Right.
So I wouldn't be surprised if we see a 30-40 point Nifty cool-off coming in tomorrow. Okay,
Hemant, in the final few minutes, what are the two stocks towards the long or the short that you've spotted that could be made into a trade?
Federal Bank gave a 8-week breakout, Agam.
Right.
Consolidation, positive divergence. Berger Paints is one, open interest addition, stock close a day's high, looks interesting. And if you want to look for a short, I think it's MGL, where we've seen significant short positions being built up.
Absolutely. So those are some of the ideas that can be played on the back of technical analysis. Of course, this one sector that I was highlighting right now was the OMCs. That's especially in the oil and gas space, and we've seen some big moves coming in with the likes of HPCL, BPCL, and Indian Oil Corp. And we have Sumit joining us to give us an idea about what's really happening with the sector, Sumit.
So if we see oil market, all the three oil marketing companies had a very weak start in 2018. They were down in the range of 10 to 17% in the Jan to March quarter on the back of various concerns like the gross marketing margins, capital allocation policy, possible subsidy sharing. But now some of these concerns still exist, but the Q4 earnings preview are providing some kind of relief, as the Q4 of financial year 2018 is expected to be strong for all the three oil marketing companies on the back of strong gross marketing margins and stable refining margins. So if you see, the gross marketing margins have averaged around 2.9 rupees per litre, which is around 41% higher compared to the last quarter, while the Singapore gross refining margin has averaged around $7 per barrel, which is stable and a bit low compared to the last quarter, but stable.
Right.
So, and on the valuation side, if you see, all the three oil marketing companies are trading below their 5-year average. So it's not only the good earnings that is expected, but also valuations have become attractive for these oil marketing companies, and that's the reason we are seeing some kind of rally coming in from the oil marketing companies.
Of course, we will keep tracking the way valuations move in tandem with the oil prices, and that is something which will be very critical for the oil marketing companies. That said, let's shift focus just briefly to the primary markets, and we had Lemon Tree also list today, and we have Saloni Dhanuka joining us to give us an update about how the listing has been. Saloni.
So Lemon Tree Hotels made a strong debut on the stock exchanges today. The stock got listed at a premium of 10% at 62 rupees per share as compared to the issue price of 56 rupees. Now during the day, it went up as high as 32% before closing 27% higher at 73 rupees per share. Now the IPO could manage to garner a total subscription of 1.2 times on the final day of subscription, all thanks to the institutional players which have subscribed over 3.9 times to this issue. However, the retail and HNI investors remained undersubscribed to this issue in the tune of 10%. Now, in terms of financials, Lemon Tree has seen a turnaround in its business, as the bottom line has shown a net profit of nearly 3 crores for the first 9 months of FY18 as compared to losses seen in the last several years.
Right. Thanks for that, Saloni. Of course, so we'll continue to track how Lemon Tree moves. But there's one more stock that I do want to address today, and that's Tata Motors. I just want you to briefly take a look at how Tata Motors has behaved in the last 1 week. We've seen gains 5 straight days. And today we're looking at a little bit of a decline, profits being taken. And of course, we've had some news on the GLR front. So we have Yatin Mota, who is going to tell us more about that. Yatin?
Well, Agam, if you look at Tata Motors, they released the March sales for Jaguar Land Rover, which is basically their flagship concern, and bulk of the profitability comes in from GLR. So the March Land Rover sales were down 5.5%. The Jaguar sales were also down 13%. And if you combine Jaguar and Land Rover, the entire GLR entity, the global sales stood at 83,732 units, and that was a drop of nearly 8%. And that comes on the back of pressure in the European as well as the UK markets, which are under pressure. Of course, we have the UK auto body also talking about as to how there is some slowness as far as the overall UK market is concerned, and Europe in general has been facing issues with diesel car models. So Europe and UK, these are the two markets wherein there was slower sales. Of course, some compensation coming in because of China, where the growth has been better. But if you look at the global context, of course, Europe and UK, which are the two large markets for JLR, are under pressure. And on the back of that data point, we had some pressure points as far as Tata Motors is concerned today.
Fair enough. Thank you, Yatin, for joining us and giving us those details on Tata Motors. Of course, so as we move into the trade and towards the end, let's just get some final thoughts on how the markets are expected to pan out. And we have Hemain joining us again. Hemain, what are your final thoughts with respect to trade now, and how we expect things to move around, at least say for the next 3 or 4 days?
I think the option data seems to suggest a range between 10 and 10.5. I think 10 is sacrosanct, too far away, Agam, not very relevant. Downside support comes in at 10,250, 10,129. I have a feeling that for the next day or two, we'd be probably be between somewhere between 10,250 and 10,400. I think overcoming this 10,380, 10,400 level could take a couple of trading sessions. So I'd expect the markets to stagnate just a wee bit.
Okay, Hemain, thanks for joining us. And with that, it's a wrap on the markets. But don't go anywhere, there's lots more lined up. So keep watching Bloomberg Quint.